One sec, guys. You don't turn your computer on for a week and everything goes to shit. Alright, let's kick this off, but I actually need to be in just chatting mode real fast because I'm trying to unjack something up. You're gone for just a week, man. You take one little vacation and all your tech decides to just lose its ever-loving mind. So hang on one sec, yo. Figure this out from OPSEC mode. I hope everybody had a really great week. Let's see. Where is this coming from here? That is not what I was looking for. Stand by. Hang on. I think I realize what the problem is here. One of the systems is not logging in, and it's being an absolute turd. Yep, that's the problem. I was trying to get all this stuff set up beforehand, except now the kids, they're back home, they're like extra snuggly and cuddly. And so it's just like, come on, man. All right. Think I got it all set up now. Let's do this. There we go. Get it. I swear. I hope everybody had a fantastic week without me. I understand it was kind of a crazy week. A whole lot of stuff going on. I'm looking forward to the news night. By the way, speaking of which, news is going to be switching to Wednesday nights. So there will be no news stream coming up here on Tuesday the 16th. It's going to start on Wednesday the 17th. So I will get that updated over on the scheduler for everybody. But I've got a new kind of meeting thing that I've got to start doing on Tuesdays. And so it's just clobbering news night. So I've been thinking about moving it around for a while anyway. Everyone seemed to really like Wednesday night. So I thought, okay, great, we're going to do that. But one thing I did forget is, gotta get the Jocko. Yes, let's do this. All right. I am itching to dive back into HackBot because I took my laptop with me on vacation, thinking I would fiddle around a little bit at night after the kids go to bed. Those kids' sleep schedules are jacked. I'll be really surprised if they go to bed on time tonight. So I didn't do anything over the weekend. Thought maybe I'd work on a blog post. Maybe I'd work on a little bit of code. I did nothing. It was a fantastic vacation. But now I'm like really itching to get back into this. And I was looking at this as I booted up. I was like, what the heck was I even doing? I remember now. We're working on the browser agent. We've got to go fix the parsing and how it's actually bringing the data in over to from the browser agent to hand it off to our primary agent. So let's go take a look at where we were with this real fast because I'm just itching to get back into this. Let me pull up, what was the last trace we ran? Because it will tell us kind of where the error is. Oh yeah, here we go. This is the one, right here. Could have been this one too. Let's see, what was the actual error that we got? Yep, that's it. So the problem here with what's happening was when we pulled this data out, I remember what we did now, we pickled it and then we brought it back out. And when that happened, we realized that the browser agent's structure is different from what we're pulling out of here. So let's bring this down just a wee bit. So over here is our browser agent code. And in here, where were we busting this out at? Let's see. Let me refresh myself. Yeah, here we go. So the problem is we're getting the results back from whenever we actually execute whatever the task is, and we're just trying to pull out the messages key. The problem is this result isn't actually a message key in here. It's an array right here. Let's see, what do we do for merged messages? Let me bring this up a bit. Where is merged messages? Let's get going on this. Wait, that's our test data. Oh, this is in test data. Okay, perfect. Let's see here. So browser agent result came back from here. Here's our agent messages. And then our merged messages. Yeah, so here's the issue right here. So once we merge these together, the issue is, see how like this is an array, it's a list, it's an array, right? It's coming through and we have each inlet is like a different type of message in here. So like a human message, whatever. Instead, what we need to do is we need to take this first dictionary element and get those messages back out. So I believe what we're going to do here is, this is going to be from our result right here. Let's go grab this real fast. Let's see. And what did it say? It said our actual error message was must contain role key type. Yeah. So if I remember correctly, what we want to do is take this result. I believe we want to get result 0 out of this in here. So if I remember correctly, this should actually look like this, if I remember. Let's do this. Okay, cool. Let's go. Oh, you know what I need to do? Just realized something. I didn't start up the our test box. Let's get that guy going. That's all right. Because what we'll need to do is we'll need to actually run through the entire chain again. So let's bring up Stinger. And then we'll have to go get our test data once that finishes kind of booting up. Bring this over. Where is Stinger? Here we go. Here's all of our test data. So we need to go, once it finishes booting up, we got to sub in that IP address right here. Let's do this. Did the Twitch alert didn't fire. Bot admin. Thanks for coming online, man. I don't know why the alert didn't play. Let me try something real fast here. Let me try something here real fast. I think that's all good. Also, by the way, guys, I noticed something when I was cutting the last YouTube video that I think it was cutting off like the beginning of all the words. So I have tweaked the audio settings on here. Let me know if... Back, baby. Okay, I heard that. So something should be working in here. What's up, Oreo? Let me know if there's any problems with the audio. Let me know how it sounds. I tweaked it a little bit to try and make the recording a little bit cleaner on here. If that doesn't work, I'll just have to do a split recorder. Because right now what I do is I record the live streams just as they go out. All right, let's see. Do we get our IP address? Oh, there it goes. All right, so we're at 254.198. Let's go put this in here. 254.198, and then let's go fire this up and we'll get ourselves a clean pickle state. That is not the correct window. Where did it go? Wait, this is the correct window. Here we go. Except that's not going to work because I just realized the VPN's not connected. There we go. Let's see. Did our ton 0 come up? Let's see. It did. All right, sweet. So yes, now we can actually try this. Let's do new thread. Run it. All right, so what we're doing here, for anybody who doesn't know, it's running through the entire exploitation chain right now. So it's doing recon, enumeration, everything. And basically, once it hits the exploitation agent, which is the third one in the sequence here, it's going to save all that to disk, and then we can just run that one again. Let's see, what's your thoughts on cloud security? I've been doing Pwn Labs. When it comes to DevSecOps or sysadmins, what do you think every admin should know from a general job perspective? Things that everybody should understand from that perspective is it's difficult because depending on which cloud provider you're using, they all do things vastly differently. You know, Google is way different from Amazon, is way different from Microsoft, and they're different cloud environments. But one of the things that you want to understand from at least a security perspective is how the authentication method's working. If they're using SAML, if they're using single sign-on, if they're using federated, whatever they're using for their IDPs, you want to make, they're using OAuth, you want to make sure you're understanding how those pieces are flowing together. Even I still have some struggle with that. It's not something I'm intimately familiar with. I've got the bits and pieces down, but if I had to go through and start quoting the different pieces of the authentication flows, I couldn't do it for you. It's on my to-do list. But on top of that, also, you want to understand kind of, in my opinion, what's the attack surface like? So you have a different attack surface for Azure and what was the other stuff? So the attack surface might be different for Azure versus AWS. In fact, they're vastly different. AWS's is actually, I want to say it's wider. It kind of is though. It's kind of like wide and deep. There's a lot of stuff over in AWS. Azure, a lot of times the security issues come from subscriptions and the permissions around those versus, and whatever the identities are in the system. So if I had to think of the main things I understand is, one, understand what the authentication flows are and how they operate, especially if you're going to allow people to cross sign on like you can do with Azure or with Entra, depending on whichever one you're using. The other section I would understand from that is make sure you have a strong networking background, because you're still doing basic computing. You just got to be able to get it out there and make sure your systems can talk to one another. I say those are the two things that you really want to understand. The other, actually, I'll say number three would be understand the scaling, because a lot of people have been absolutely wrecked by not understanding what can happen whenever your app becomes hugged to death by something like Reddit, and then all of a sudden you're hit with a $20,000, cloud bill. That can happen. In fact, I know a lot of companies actually are switching off of cloud, going back to on-prem for just those very reasons. Maybe they're finally realizing you don't have to cycle your servers every 3 years. Yeah. Computers last a very long time these days. All right, cool. So we're over in the exploit agent. Perfect. Let this kind of run. I'm expecting this to fail here in just a second, but that's fine. If it does, then we're going to go through it. We're going to break it down again. Yep, there we go. So that's what we were expecting to see. Let's go pull up that trace real quick. But the good news is now we don't have to run the entire chain again. We can just run the exploitation agent. Let's see. We got a key error. Oh, so it didn't like our result 0 in here for our messages. That's all right. Hold on. I'm dropping stuff over here. So that was not the correct fix, like I thought. Let's see here. Let's go see if we can pull in this other pickle right here. So I think we still have... Oh, no, that was not correct. Dang it. That didn't save us that pickle. That's all right. We can rerun this part real fast here. I wonder how much that cost us. Let's see. What was our estimated token usage? In theory, that cost about 10 cents to run. Maybe 20 cents? Not sure. We're getting chunky in here. But one thing that is very cool now is we can just come right over to exploit and run it again. Because exploit's going to load the last save state we had from disk. All right. So we'll let this run until it errors out again. We'll go check it. And then we'll go load up that saved pickle file with the information and reconstruct those steps. Because honestly, it's been like 2 weeks since I worked on this. So I got to remember what I was doing. I vaguely remember, but I got to get the details back out. All right. So it is currently trying. So what it should be doing, and we'll double check the trace after this, it's handing off the execution from the exploit agent up here to the specialty agent, which is the browser, to let it do its thing. And the browser is where we have the issue. So we're just kind of debugging the agent code real fast here. There we go. And let's see what we got from this. Oh, dang it. Did it not? It didn't save the update. Dang it. Hey, Chris, what's up, man? Chris, my hype man. How you doing, dude? I hope you had a good week. Dude, I had a really great time up there. So we went up to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, up near the state park, and just had a blast. Took the kids fishing, took them swimming, took them, just letting them chill out and get away from like the day-to-day routine. It was a great week. Yeah, I did have a swear jar at the very beginning of the stream because I was cussing at my computer. This computer, I swear, it's held together with hopes and dreams because I had to reboot it. Everything was off, right? I shut down the office completely when I went out of town. When I got back, I had to reboot this computer 3 times just so I could log in. It is hanging on by a thread. And I'm worried because I don't really want to go drop the money to upgrade or modify this computer right now. Okay. So, for some reason, so what's happening here, by the way, if you're wondering why, so the code doesn't show that result 0 index in here, but we see it right here. So what's happening is when the server is running, it's actually hot patching these fixes in memory as they change. But if it doesn't register the change, it doesn't hot patch it, and then it doesn't run the correct code, basically. So we'll have to just run this one more time. actually cancel. We just run it from scratch. There we go. So, fun fact, I did a home programming lab today. It took a risk and learned Dart to work on foundations of an app in Flutter. So I definitely wouldn't have done it if it weren't for the live streams, inspiring and giving me the confidence to take risk in tech. Dude, I'm glad, man. I think a lot of people forget that it's supposed to be fun. Technology is supposed to be a good time. I mean, granted, it is serious business, right? There's lots of money flowing around with it. Lots of livelihoods depend on it. But also, that's not saying that you can't just go mess around with it. Tinker. That's the heart of hacking right there. A lot of people forget about that is it's just asking, hey, what if I did blank? What if I did something weird? You know, what if I put the wrong thing in here? Because you know what the program's expecting, right? A lot of times you can go read the documentation, you can look at it, you can say, hey, oh yeah, it's expecting the person to do this. And instead it's like, okay, well, what if I don't do that? How strictly are they checking it? That's the heart of finding bugs, finding vulnerabilities, finding all sorts of issues in the system, is just doing the unexpected. And nobody will do the unexpected better than your users. They will always do, no matter how foolproof you think you've made your code, the users will always find a way to make it a better fool. We're at the lab tonight. So I'm tracking down there. So there was an issue with how the data from the browser agent was being structured. So what's happening here? Let me pull up the graph real quick. Let me kind of resize this a bit. So once it gets down here and it kind of figures out which exploit it wants to use, it comes down to the planner. The planner says, okay, what are the very basic steps we should be doing to make this exploit work? In this case, it's uploading a PHP web shell. And then it goes through this loop here where it has two paths. It can either go make a tool called direct to either gather information or set up part of the exploit, or we can pass off execution to a special agent. In this case, it's the browser agent. We want it to grab a PHP web shell, browse to the upload form, and then upload it. That's what it's supposed to do. So in this case, what we're troubleshooting is where that browser agent is. The downside is the way LangGraph, the LangGraph Studio is set up, we can't really drill down into where the browser agent is. So we can see what's happening with it. We can actually follow it in the trace down here. We can see all the calls kind of being made to it, but it doesn't show up in the graph, which is not a big deal. It's not a problem. The good news is we can actually get the error of like where we're coming through with this. So once we actually start breaking down what the error is, there's a tiny piece of code that I stuck in here where it takes this data and it creates a little output for us right here. Now that I remember what I'm doing here. So we're gonna go pull this pickle file over into something real quick. Let me see, where's our Python shell? Here we go. So let's get rid of the test data here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull that back in right now. So now what we can do is we can actually go check and see what was the actual structure that it should be having. So the browser agent kind of branches off from here, does its own execution, and is supposed to hand back an appropriate data packet, an appropriate state table to this special agent node. And the problem is it's not handing back data in the correct format. So we're just kind of troubleshooting the formatting structure of it. So is this primarily on the single exploit type, or is the tool supposed to select a different attack per a different room or circumstance? Yes, so what it should do is look at all the data that's been collected. So come back over to Stinger here. So Stinger has, let's ignore this is unimportant. But right now we've got a recon, an enumeration, and an exploitation agent. So these are the primary agents. Stinger is the supervisor who's supposed to be handling divvying tasks out, making sure they go to the appropriate spot, and looking at information and kind of making the judgment call on it. Stinger right now is very dumb. It's not doing that. It's literally just building the task list and handing it off to the primary agents. So inside of these primary agents, they're collecting data. Recon, enumeration, they're getting data about the target, and they're building kind of like a picture of it. And when it gets to the exploitation agent here, right here, the exploitation agent itself is actually coming through and saying, okay, given the data we've got, what should we suggest? Now, in this case, we actually kind of already force-fed it a bit. So if I come here real fast. Because right now, it's not a lot of thinking, it's a lot of following instructions. So we've given it breadcrumbs on what it should do. So for example, this is what we've told it should do. Scan the target, figure out the version of Apache, see what service is running on port 22. We tell it directly, hey, use GoBuster to find hidden directories. Look at those directories and see if they have any upload forms, and then get remote code execution from a web shell. So we're telling it where it needs to go from here. And then, but eventually these won't exist. Stinger is going to start coming up with these itself and looking at these different items. So it's a little bit of a, we're helping it along. We're teaching it how to crawl before it walks, before it runs. Oh yeah. An independent thinker. Yeah, right? We'll try, man. So one of the things I know that we're going to have to do eventually is go put a lot of extra massaging and thought into the prompts as they go forth. I've kept them very simple and straight to the point right now. Eventually, as we start noticing certain things, there will be other checks and guardrails we'll have to put into the prompts to get them to work. But right now what we're doing is we're saving kind of like what this information is. So we have our agent messages here. Let's see. We have our temp. And then what was our other? So this is our browser agent results. So we've got our results right here. We have our agent message, and then we've got a temp that's merged into them. So let's go take a look at these real quick in here. So if we come to test data, actually, let me bring this down just a wee bit. All right, so if we look at the browser agent result right here, we have a messages key. So probably from result, we should be pulling out messages right here. And if we look at the messages, it's a list of 4 messages. So that works out good. So now what we're doing is we're testing to see how these are going to mix together. So agent messages is in here. And instead of actually making one list, we need a single list with all the messages kind of in order. It's not. See this? We have a list. One that's a dictionary, and then one is something else in here. So our agent messages is not pulling out correctly here. But if we look at temp, what do we got? Or actually, this would be merged messages. Yeah, see, we still have a dictionary, and then we've got the other 2 kind of happening here. So we've got to just kind of think about how we're going to restructure this data a wee bit. This should have worked. However, I believe it didn't work the way I was thinking it was going to. So let's take a look at this part right here. So the browser agent results is directly, this is the data we're getting back from the special agent, right? As it's executing. Let's see. So what we have is we have messages that's got a list of 4. Okay, great. But now if we come over here to our agent messages where we add the results, let's take a look at that real quick. For some reason, we're still getting a dictionary in here. See that? So I wonder why it's not pulling that out correctly. Let's see what the structure is supposed to be. So our result message looks pretty straightforward. So we have a list of 4 items in here. So what we want to do is take these 4 messages and let's see, where else do we use agent messages in here? Let's see. So here's basically, we're using these agent messages as kind of like logging messages. They're not actually used as part of this. So we just initialize it to a blank index. We add this to it. Is that the correct way to do this? Let me double check something, because I know I've done this in like the recon agent. Let me bring this down and over real fast. Let's see. So there we returned a message. Here we go, agent messages. So we append whatever our response was to this. And we send that back over to our agent messages here. Yeah, so we just used append on this right here. I thought we had tried that and it didn't work. Let's go give it a shot real fast. So in here, yeah, let's adjust this a wee bit. So we're going to try append again, which it should work with this. Append our result messages. And then I'm going to take out temp here. We don't need temp, I believe. So let's take out that line. And then let's save that. Let's see. All right, so it's hot patching. All right, good. So that should be patched in. Let's go try running this again. So what we're doing right now is just debugging. And to do that, unfortunately, we got to let it run a couple cycles. Hope the square bracket functions well. Don't require squiggly brackets. It's just the difference between making a list, which is basically an array in Python, versus making like a hash table or a dictionary. It's not that big of a difference. All right. So right now, what it's doing is it's handed it off, and it looks like it just errored out. So that's fine. Let's go see what error we've got here. Well, we should be getting basically the same error because we haven't adjusted it yet. Yeah, there we go. So now what we can do though is we can reload that pickle file. Actually, let me do something real quick. Let's delete the test data and then go re-import it. Just for absolute certainty. All right, so there's our test data. So our agent messages, yeah, see now we've got two lists in here, which is wild. We have a dictionary and we have a list in here, which is totally not what should happen. So there's our result, and we're pulling out result messages right here. So this is directly from the sub agent that's getting pulled in. It's just all the reason I'm solid on the differences, Chris, is because I've just been banging my head against Python for getting several months now, consistently. By no means a master, but learned quite a lot. And the whole purpose of this, got to remember, was twofold. One, figure out how some developers might approach some of these AI agent systems. And the second approach was, I don't write a lot of code from scratch. Like, this whole thing pretty much has been written from scratch, except for two spots where I did use an AI system to help out with it. So it's part of me learning how to kind of structure this code together. And already I've got the first rewrite kind of planned after it gets to completing this first room, because there's a lot of areas to go through and improve the efficiency in this. Way to get this far, bro. Dude, it's all about consistency. Consistency and hard work trumps a lot of stuff. And I tell my son that too. I was like, hey dude, if you are really smart but you don't do anything with it, you might as well be a dummy. If you work hard but not that smart, you're gonna beat the smart person who doesn't work hard. And if you're smart and you work hard, you're gonna wreck house. You're just gonna beat up everything. Now, why is this happening here? So our agent messages, for some reason, it's appending the entire dictionary in here, even though we have told it to pull out the messages key. So why is it doing that whenever we append this? Let's see, because the result coming back from the agent, it's a dictionary. Wait a second, why is agent messages? Oh, this is showing us a list. Okay, that's fine. These ones look fine, but for some reason it's not pulling out messages. Why is it not doing that? It's a so even though we're telling it, hey, go pull the messages key, it's dropping the entire object in there. Could be an issue with the quotes. It's assuming you're typing something in the square brackets as text instead of referencing something. No, this is literally what the key is called in the dictionary, right? So this part right here, the browser agent result, is a copy of what's getting returned when it executes the agent task, right? And in here, it's a dictionary with a messages key. Just like that. And it's perfect because it has the 4 messages that we want right here. Just like that. I probably need to go through and modify this just a wee bit. And the reason is because I think what I want to do is actually take all these messages and prepend something to it. So like, for example, up here, when we build the first message, right, we give it the agent name to it. So what we might want to do is go prepend the agent name inside there. So it has something to reference like, hey, by the way, this is the sub agent that's executing all this stuff. So maybe that's the better approach to take with this for some reason. So basically take the results out, pull out the messages key, modify each of the messages in their content, and go prepend that agent name to it. Although I'm surprised that this, for some reason, is like just completely losing its mind. I don't get why here. Let me double check something real fast. Let's see. It's Python list append method. Because that should just append it and not return anything. See here, so we append orange to it. Now we've got orange right here. But it doesn't actually return anything whenever we do this, right? So if we did like x equals this, and then we did a print x on this, and we run it, we're not going to get anything because fruits.append isn't going to return anything. See that? It's like it's a null return. So why, for some reason in here, when we're doing that, it's just completely losing its mind when it's kicking this out. If we can get this to work, I think this actually might finish off the exploitation agent, and that would be so sick. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I'd be... I take it back. It probably won't finish off the exploitation agent, but it's going to get us over the big hurdle, which is to get the PHP web shell on there. Then it's just a matter of, okay, now we need to go invoke the PHP web shell. Let's see. So agent messages is appending. Okay, you know what? For grins and giggles, I'm going to try this, and I think it's going to fall flat on its face whenever I do this. So let me try something here. Let's see. I think it's already registered the change here. Did it? I think so. There we go. I'm just forcing it to basically update and hot patch in the code. All right, let's go run the exploit agent one more time here. Boop. So the cool thing about LangGraph is you see it actually which node is it currently doing the processing. And so then it goes to the exploit planner. I know there's a more efficient way with the LangGraph Studio to do this. I just haven't learned it yet. All right, Chris, thanks for stopping by, man. I appreciate you, dude. You have a good night. Hack the planet. I wonder why the follower alert didn't fire earlier. That was weird. All right, here's where it's getting ready to die because we're passing it over to the exploit agent. Or to the special agent. All right, let's see. I'm expecting to actually get a different error here. There we go. List indices must be integers or slices, not a string. which is what I would expect, right? Because it's saying, hey, I can't get messages in here. This is so weird. What is it doing? Because it's saying, oh yeah, by the way, we've gotten this part out right here. Hold on, did I do something stupid here? Yeah, I did. I did something really freaking stupid here. I did something really stupid here. I wrapped the agent message into a damn dictionary. Ah, no wonder why it was showing up like that and why it was causing me so much freaking trouble. Damn it. Okay, so we can fix this. Let's see, missing a square bracket there. That was the problem, is instead of formatting this as just a straight up message, right? Let me see, where else are we using agent message in here? Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this up just a little bit in here. And we are going to use the append method since we don't have to worry about any returns. And then what we're doing now is we're appending an AI message to that list. That should do it. Okay. Let's get rid of this. So now, I believe it actually might be in the correct structure when we do this. So let's let that hot patch. Blaise Bits will be sponsored by a drink company someday. Hopefully, but not sponsored by Jocko yet. I'm working on it. Thankfully, my ribs are still healing up. I had that minor setback last week. They're kind of back to flat now. And actually, I go to see a physical therapist on Monday. So we can get my ribs healed up. I can get back to exercising. When I finish the Murph, I'm going to do a supercut of all the not finished by Jocko sequences. Because I've done it pretty much every live stream for the last year and a half, I think. I'm going to do a supercut of those. I'm going to intersperse them with me doing the Murph in there. Which is going to be hard as hell because I've never been good at doing pull-ups. I'm a chunky dude, right? I just haven't had the upper body strength to do it. So it's going to be some work. Hopefully, Jocko will approve and will say, yeah, that's worth the sponsorship. And I'm a cheap date, man. I'm a cheap date for sponsorships. I haven't taken any. Granted, you know, the stream's not super huge. I do this for fun. But it would be cool to say, yeah, by the way, sponsored by Jocko. That would be sick. All right. Let's give this another shot here. All right. I really do need to go through and figure out, because I'm burning a decent amount of tokens whenever it's processing this. Let me see how many we're doing here. So in this one, basically it's costing us 8 cents every time I have to run it to debug it. I'll have to go check and see what my Anthropic credit balance is. Eventually, also, what we'll do is I'm going to swap this out to where you can run it with different language models. Maybe even optimize it to where you can say, by the way, this agent uses this model in there. As long as you've supplied the keys, in theory, that should work. Okay, we got a new error. New errors are good. That means things are happening. All right, so what is the new error? Unsupported message type for a list. Okay, probably what we're doing is probably appending this incorrectly here. Let's go pull up the Python terminal again. All right, and so in our test data, what do we have here? So we want to look at what our agent messages are going to show. Ah, that's what we're doing right here. Wait, hold on. We shouldn't have had two lists in here, though. Oh, the problem is we're appending the list. So the list is becoming a list element. It's becoming the second element in the array. We're close. See this? This is the first list in here. And then there's a second list with 4 messages in it. So not such a big deal. So what we can do is we can iterate over those. And actually, I think I want to do that because what I want to do is I want to go prepend this name into here for the AI message. I got to figure out how to do that. Let's see. I think we're good here, but we need to do a little bit of pre-processing in this. So let's do for m in results from our messages. Let's do a little bit of a quick check here. And then m in here should be, where is it? Oh wait, it's here. So m is going to be one of these AI messages. So I wonder if I can go through and just modify the contents to prepend that in here. Yeah, content. Actually, it's a little bit weird on the content type. See that? So it's going to depend if it's a human message, the content is just a straight up string. However, if it's an AI message here, then we have a dictionary to this. So let's see. What do we got going on here? Let's see. So it ran the playwright code, navigated. I tell you what, hold on. I actually want to check something real fast here. So in the trace, let's see what we actually did here. So we execute the browser navigate. Oh, okay, actually, I'll take it back. So the first task is it's just supposed to navigate. It's supposed to loop back around and then call the browser agent again, and then it will do the upload. I'm not worried about that part. We'll probably have to go finesse the tooling server, RoboPages, and probably tweak the instructions a bit, but it's not a big deal. All right, so in our AI message, what's the structure of this guy? Let's see. Where's the content? There's our content. So in this case, it's a string. But in this one here, this is the one I'm looking at. So we might have to do a type check on it. If it's a human message, then we just modify the content directly. If it is an AI message, then what we have to do is go pull out that text field. Yeah. Same thing with maybe the tool message in here. Yeah, so what we'll have to do is we'll do a quick check for this. So we'll say, how do I do this? I think we can just check, is it a human message? I think there's a type field in here. Type human, yeah, okay. So what we can do is say if, I think it's m.type equals human. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do m.content. It's going to be, I think it's content. Let's find it real fast. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify this just a wee bit so that way we get tracking on it, because right here, right, these messages look like they're just coming directly from like the human interacting with it, but that's not what we want. These aren't really human messages that are happening in here. What we want is we want it to look like, hey, by the way, this came from the browser agent. So that way, whenever we go read through what is essentially the chat log of the messages, we'll be able to see that clearly. So then what we'll do is the content is going to be, we'll just make it a format string. We'll drop the agent name in there. And then what we'll do is we'll pull out one more and we'll do just m dot just like that. I think that will work. Let's see. Yep, pull out the message, check the type. Eventually we're going to add in a couple more types in here. We'll add in AI message and tool message. And then that should be good. Actually, yeah, let's do that real quick. And then what we'll do is we'll say agent messages. And then what we'll do is we'll append M to it, just like that. Boop. So we're going to modify the message, and then we're going to append it. And then that's going to be our structure for the rest of these. So if the M type, and then what does it show for, that's a human message. Let's look at an AI message. type will be AI, just like so. Then we'll basically do the same thing. We'll do the content. And then for this, it's a list hidden here. Yeah, so what we'll do is we grab this 0 element in this. So we'll do the same kind of format string right here, just like that. And then what we'll do is we'll say, actually, I take that back. This is going to have to change because what we're going to do is we have a list of 2 arguments in here, right? So we'll get the 0 element out of this because that's the one that actually has the stuff in there. And then once we get that 0 element out, then we got to pull out the text field from this. Text, just like that. I think that will work. And then we're going to do the exact same thing just like this. Now, why are you throwing a fit here? Oh, I wonder if I need to use actually the dot operator for this. Text for class string. What? But this AI message is not. The text is right there. This says it's a dictionary, though. It's a dictionary with the type of with the type text in here. Yeah. Yeah, because there's 2 elements in here. Basically 0 and 1. And then 3 is a couple other items in here. But we come over to text, which should be a string. Let me see. What was the type on this? Yeah, so this is our AI message. We want to set the content to it. We pull out the 0 element, that's a text. I'm going to leave it for now. I think that's the IDE not being able to track what's happening in here. But what we want to do is then just take this data right here, drop that in. Just like that. I think that's going to work. I think the IDE is just spazzing out on us, but not a problem. So now, let's go check this out. So then the last one is if it is going to be a tool call in here. So where is our tool call? You gonna scroll for me? There we go. Oh, so for this one, it's the same thing in here. So we could do this as just an OR in here. So if it equals human or if the type, what's the type for this one? Tool. So we'll say if it's a human or a tool call, then boom, that one's real simple. Otherwise, we take that out, and we drop that one right there. I think that will work. Let's save that too. Let's see, it threw an error up here for a second, which I think it was just complaining because it was trying to hot patch before we actually finished typing in the code. I think it's good now. Let's go run. Run! Run like the wind. Let's see, what is it doing whenever it runs this first? Oh, first thing it does is it gets the PHP web shell. That makes sense. It gets the path to it where we've got it stored in the Docker, Docker volume. So that makes sense. So it should make a tool call, and then it should pass over to the exploitation agent. Nice. Do it. I think Anthropic, and so as I was checking some of the Twitter feeds while I was on vacation, Anthropic, I think, is getting a lot of overload messages. So I'm glad we added the overload, basically, retry function in here. so we don't have to like keep wasting runs every time. Because that shouldn't, for the call to the exploitation agent, it shouldn't have taken that long. Same thing with the exploit step processor here. That shouldn't have taken that long either. Ooh, fortunately, you can't see it because my big head's behind it, but if that hits 30 seconds and we don't get a response, it's probably going to fail on us. I mean, it did hit 30 seconds. Oh, good. It started coming back. Nice. But it looks like Anthropic's definitely getting beat down right now. And honestly, the only reason why I'm using Anthropic for all the testing is because I had a buttload of free Anthropic tokens. So that's why it was getting used. Dictionary object has no attribute text. The hell you don't? I synced it. And so here's the difference, right? Look, if we look at this run, it took about 47 seconds. This one took about 46 seconds. This one took 99 seconds. So yeah, that's classic Anthropic getting overloaded. Now, why is it saying that agent name is incorrect? Dictionary object has no attribute text. Yes, it does. It does. It do. I synced it. Claude needs more money. Dude, you're not joking, man. Everybody thought, like, cars and coal burning for power plants was going to be the thing that caused, like, global warming. No, it's turned out it's big old anime titties from AI servers. Are you an Obsidian user? I am in some instances. I'm not a purist and like I always stick to the same note-taking or like art editing system. I use them for different purposes. So, for example, I use Obsidian for when I'm on an active pen test. I use that for my note-taking for the penetration test. For my personal notes, I use Notion. And then, I kind of switch around and I move. And some stuff I keep over in Google. I mean, it just depends on where I want to put it. I don't have everything like stored into one giant treasure trove. Okay, so for some reason it did not like this. Why don't you like this? What is the problem? I keep it all in one place. I try to, but I find the organization on Notion. And so first off, I couldn't keep like my pen testing notes when I'm on an active engagement in Notion. It breaks the company data classification and storage rules. So that's a no-go for that. But a lot of stuff I do keep in there. The organization, maybe there's a better way to do it. I haven't messed around with it a ton. I like it because I can have a lot of like divisions of information in there. But the organizing of it can be a little bit chunky. Because I try to break things down a lot. And maybe I just need to collapse some of the documents down. But I've got a huge list of like parent documents in there that are then like subdivided further. It's a big long list. Oh no, I was talking about Notion specifically. I may eventually switch over to Obsidian, especially with considering like how you can sync some of the stuff with Obsidian. I just haven't messed with it yet. I kind of like Notion. It's a little bit simpler, but I do like the way Obsidian works. So it makes it very easy also when I'm working with my teammates where we can collaborate in an Obsidian notebook where we can share it using all of our company resources. Notion's completely out of the question for it though. But yeah, the plugin environment for Obsidian is obscene. It's got a plugin for just about everything. Let's see. So why is it saying that the AI one doesn't have the context doesn't have a text into it? Let me look back in here real quick. So if it is an AI message, so we pull out the content. Maybe we just need to. No, because I would like to have the additional tracking information in here. So I was thinking, do we just pull the content out and just make a fake message with the information in it? But there's a lot of tracking information here. Like, wait, what was the tool called that was actually used? Hey, Bandu, what is your what's your favorite plugin in Obsidian? Because I'm always looking for suggestions on it. Like I said, I'm not a purist in any one facet. I move around depending on what the situation is. I guess that's probably a side effect of having been a penetration tester, red teamer for the last 7 years, because you constantly have to switch tooling when you're doing that. You're sure enough, every time you get onto a pen test, your favorite tool is going to die and fail. So I get really comfortable moving around to other tool sets. But the downside is, like you were just mentioning, sometimes you don't get to go super deep into them because there's just not enough time to learn every intricacy to every single tool set. Let's see. So yeah, it's an AI message. The type is AI, which works. For some reason, it's showing up as a dictionary. I wonder if we don't even need to necessarily actually pull out the text field from it. Come to think of it, because it says it's a string of text right here. Why are you giving me this? I think it's expecting content to just be a string in here. I forgot something in here too. Well, let's just try this. For grins and giggles, let's give this a shot. Here, take this out. I don't think this is going to work, just looking at how it's structured in here. But I'm willing to try it. We're gonna hack around and find out. Okay, looks like it patched in the various pieces of code here. Let's do it again. I'll do it again. All right. And this is, by the way, if anybody who's wondering, this is a super, very basic example over on TryHackMe. It's called RootMe. And so while we're training the AI agent to kind of work like a penetration tester, to go through the different workflows for recon and enumeration and exploitation, I wanted to start with the most bare bones example. And then we're going to start stepping it up and making it harder. So like I said, first thing we've got to do is the Stinger agent actually has to get some intelligence to it. So there's one more primary agent after this one is kind of at its milestone, and that is the post-exploitation agent. That one's going to take a while because we're going to hook it over into Mythic C2 and let it do its thing with that. Once that's up and running, then once the post-exploitation's done and we can actually capture the root flag out of this, then Stinger actually has to go get some intelligence. Because right now, Stinger is very dumb. Stinger doesn't know anything. Stinger is literally not even doing any language model calls. It's just handling tasks purely in code. Yeah, exactly. This is what I was expecting. Because what we're getting is we're getting a not implemented. Let me try something here. So the problem is we're failing up here. How do I want to handle this? Let me think about this. So if we're looking at the data structure, this looks fairly straightforward, right? AI message, content, it's a list of 2 items. We pull out the 0 item in here. So let's try this one more time. So we pull out 0. The IDE is throwing a fit because it says the string doesn't have a set item, but it does. It absolutely does. And then there should be a text field inside of this for this AI message. I'm pretty sure. I think it's hallucinating in here. I'm going to try this one more time. Yeah, I know what you're expecting, and I think you're wrong. And now watch it actually turn out to be correct when this comes back up. Let me check something real fast here. Okay, good. This is done charging. Because what I can do here is... So what's happening... Let me... pull up the iPad real fast. Alright. So what's happening with this guy? Go away. Go away now. You're killing me, Smalls. I swear, you don't turn on your tech for a little while and like everything just loses its mind. Ah. Stand by, y'all. What is this doing here? Jeez, come on, go away. Everything acts like I've never used it before when I just don't use it for a week. Oh my god, go away. Alright. So what's happening here? Let's kind of diagram this out a bit. So once we hit this part in the graph here, this exploit special agent node. Right. So we're hitting special agent. If you don't stop popping crap up. So when it hits the special agent node here, what it's doing is it's actually passing execution to a wrapper for browser agent. But the browser agent is actually technically a wrapper around something called a React agent in here. And the React agent only has one type of message key in here, and that is its messages. So that is all it understands in its state table. So the state table basically is like the source of truth for everything as it's passing through all these agents. It's like a book, and every time it gets passed to a new node, that node gets a copy of the state table. So you modify it and you just return what's going to be changed on it. So what's happening here is for some reason those messages, whenever they're starting to flow back up the chain here, right up here is where they're breaking. So that's what we're trying to figure out is how come whenever it's getting passed back up to the browser agent, it's absolutely just hating life. Did I not run this again? I didn't. Should have let that run while I was yammering. So. Alright, so right now what it's doing, when it hits the planner, it actually comes through here. Let me see if I can catch it as it comes through. It's rendering kind of dumb over here, but we can see it over in this, once it crashes out, we'll go pull up the trace and I'll show you. Alright, so now it should pass down to the special agent. And the whole purpose of the special agent is it's a Playwright MCP browser. So it's a full browser that the AI agent can use. Because no matter how hard I tried to tell it to do things programmatically with curl and Python and everything, it just kept flipping its lid and never wanting to do that. So I finally broke down and got it a browser to use. So here's an example right here. So the step planner, once it's done, what it's going to return is it takes a look at all the information available on the system, and then it comes back and basically creates these steps for us. So hang on, my head's blocking it. But it's like, okay, yeah, cool. We're going to get a PHP web shell. We're going to navigate to the upload panel. We're going to use the upload form to upload that PHP web shell. And then we're going to access it from shell.php and do this. Now, you might be wondering, it's like, hey, this has a function in it where it blocks PHP uploads right here. That's going to be part of what the revisor is supposed to do. So this revisor here is whenever a step fails, it should look at it and say, hey, what was the source of the failure? Can we adjust for it? In this case, it's going to change the extension to a PHP 5. Did it just die on me? It did. Piece of crap. Everything's dying on me. Why you do this? Different thing died. It's like all my tech is pissed off at me for having been gone for a week. All right, let's see. So for some reason, it cannot convert this message here. So we're still getting the same thing, unsupported message type for a list in this. Let's look at something real quick. Let's see. This would be a Lang chain message types. Let's go look at the docs real fast here. All right, so here's our AI message. Oh, that's for the human message. Let's see. AI message chunk. Okay, that's not what we want either. Tool message. No, I actually want the open. I actually want the AI message type. Hold on. Maybe we can skip over to it. Let's see. Where's our documentation? Let's look at the API reference here. So here's the human message. Where's our AI message? There we go. Let's see, we have a lot of parameters. What methods do we have on here? Do we? Oh, so that gets us the text content of the message. But I want to modify it. Yeah, so type equals AI, that's fine. Response name. Yeah, so we can have a string, we can have a list of strings, or a list of dictionaries in here, which is what we're seeing, right? We come back over here, we've got this whole list of dictionaries that are happening. I tell you what, let's try something real quick. Let's take this out and just see if this portion actually works real fast. There we go. All right, so it patched in the new code. Let's begin to run it again. Yes. Excellent, Fraulein. We run the code. Dang it, I've ran out of my Jocko drink already. By the way, guys, let me know how the audio sounds, because I did some tweaking to the audio because I think it was cutting off I know for a fact it was cutting off the beginning of some words, because I had something called a noise gate turned on. I've killed that now because I'm in a private room. My streaming room actually used to be in a more open part of the house. So let me know how the audio sounds since I turned the noise gate off. If you're hearing anything weird, just shout it out for me. Audio's good? All right, thanks, Widget. Appreciate it. I'm going to check the recording after the stream and check and see how it's functioning. But when I was cutting the last YouTube video, I noticed it quite a bit, and I was worried that it was going to make the audio basically unbearable. Because that's one of the big things that I was told, and I passed on to other people who are wanting to start streaming stuff like this. Why are you getting an error there? That's not where you're supposed to error, bastard. Is that make sure your audio's good, because that's the number one thing that really drives people. Is if you have bad audio, that will kill participation like nothing else. So I spent a lot of time on it, and I'm hoping I didn't jack it up. Wait a second, hold on. Did this work? Hold on a second. What happened here? Hold on. So we told it the task was create a simple PHP web shell that allows for remote code execution. I don't think it liked what this was. Yeah, this is one of those weird quirks of sometimes how, like I said, the prompts are not super robust in this agent. And what happened is it went down a different kind of code path here. So if we look at the reviser probably said this was not a valid web shell. Yeah, so the reviser, which is another AI call that goes and says, hey, by the way, look at what the task was, look at what the output was, do the two mesh, and can we call this a valid test or a valid task completion? In this case, it failed it. And so it didn't error correct for it for some reason. Or actually, it error corrected in the wrong direction. But that's okay. Because what we can do is just run this guy again. Let's get this going. Oh, thank you, honey. My wife, she's so sweet. She brought me my water. And she did that because she knows I drank entirely too much coffee and not enough water while we were on vacation. I just had a constant pot going and just sipping coffee, watching the kids play, do their thing. What are they doing? Some people are like, yeah, I'm gonna detox off of the coffee while I'm on vacation. Not me. No, it's coffee to the max. All right. Come on, reviser. Don't fail me now. Literally, don't fail me now. All right, so it should pass off to the special agent node here. Okay, so this is fine because we're expecting the crash to happen there. I was not expecting it to happen in the other part. I need to go see how many Anthropic credits I've got left. Really? Where's it throwing this error at? Let's see. So if we're converting the message, self-values, where are we actually hitting this at? Let's go through the stack trace. Message coercion failure. RIP. Let me check something real quick here. So if the message coercion is failing, I think it actually did get through here. Let's go look at something real fast. Let's see. Let's see, do I have the output pickle here? 2231. What's the date right now? 22. Okay, so it actually did create the pickle. So by looking at this, what we can tell is it got all the way through this portion here. It went through and created that pickle. It tried to return it right here, and this is where the return's failing. Got it. Noipi, what's up, man? Yeah, dude, I was on vacation last week. So I put up messages on Discord. Maybe I should have thrown up on Twitter and on YouTube as well. But yeah, dude, I was on vacation last week. And so I was up in the boons, in the woods in Oklahoma, just chilling, having a great time. Got to spend it with the kids. It was good stuff. Very good stuff. Desperately needed. All right, let's go look at something real fast here. Let's pull back up the Python terminal. All right, so let's kill this and let's reload the test data. You graduated and got your Sec Plus. I think you told me about that before I went on vacation, man. Yeah, but still, that's awesome to hear, dude. And you're working on the CEH now? Nice. Very cool. The CEH is... Noipi, you're in the US, right? I'm trying to remember. Yeah. The CEH, I'll be honest, the most useful part about the CEH is if you're going to be trying for something that requires a government job or a security clearance. For some reason, they really like the CEH. Maybe not so much for the security clearance, but if you're looking at a lot of government jobs, they really like the CEH for that. Yeah. Yep, that's I've never worked in government for that respect. I did work for some government, but CEH was never on the table for that. It was a completely different IT role. All right, so where was our... Hold on, I gotta refresh myself. So agent messages. So our agent messages here. Hmm. Oh, I think that's why. Hmm. I need to find a way to modify the content of that AI message. I've got to, because so what should happen is the human messages in theory should be what you're sending to the language model, and the AI message should be what's being returned from the language model. And I really do need to get that agent name appended in there, or prepended. Oh, you're in the Norfolk area. Oh yeah, dude. Rife in that spot. I got a couple of coworkers that live over there. And so, and yeah, they do a lot of that kind of work. Well, I'm sorry. They used to do a lot of that kind of work. They work with me now, but back in the day, that's what they did. Okay, so this is actually, we shouldn't need this anymore. Because what we did is, we did get the messages on here. However, let's see, we should have our first agent message in here. Up here, right? So using the browser session blank, we've got that one right here. And then we should have the other messages kind of appearing in here. Hard to compete with the IT vets if you don't have those certs, so my only way is CompTIA, Cisco, and CEH. Yeah. I am still partial to the Cisco certifications just because that is where I started, and also having a very firm grasp of networking makes a lot of the other work incredibly easy. So I completed my Cisco certifications before I took the OSCP way back in the day. We were talking like 2010, right? Maybe 2011. I took like the first iteration of the OSCP when it was still pen testing with Backtrack. And in that case, a lot of people struggled with the idea of pivoting. I had zero issues with pivoting because it was just a networking problem to me. It's like, okay, yeah, it's just nodes in the path. So I usually recommend, if you're really wanting to go the certification route and work on that, the Cisco ones are not that bad. All right, I'm gonna do... I need this code here, but I need it to work, and it is not liking what this is. So this is annoying because if we look at the docs here for the AI message, the content could be any of these items right here. That is annoying. HR friend said ITIL Foundations helps. I can't argue with them, right? Because I've never been on the HR hiring front, right? Usually, what I always did when I was hiring folks is, because I ran the team at my last company for about 2 years before I switched to my current company. And when I did that, I coached the HR team on what to look for. I didn't let them be the gatekeepers. I said, you're hiring for my team. This is what I need you to look for. And we went through examples on LinkedIn. I literally pulled people up I knew from different companies, and I was like, you see this? I was like, yeah, that's bogus. Don't go for that. Ignore that if you see it. But then I gave her another counter option. I was like, now go look at this guy. He's got a very plain sounding title, but look at the company he's at. He's this role for this company. That is a big deal. So I had to kind of coach her on what to look for people that were applying, and she got pretty good at it. But a lot of people don't do that. They let HR kind of handle all that and then funnel and bring to you. No, I wanted to control the funnel and the sieve. So I sat down with them and coached them on it. So I can't really say if I think ITIL would help. It's not going to help in your day-to-day work. Probably 0% chance. As to whether or not it get you through an HR filter, I can't say for certain. Let me double check something. Make sure I'm remembering ITIL correctly, because it's like a program management framework, if I remember correctly. Set of practices for IT activities, IT management. Yeah, not really. The way ITIL was always told to me was that it was for almost like IT project management. If it's something that's not going to take you a great amount of time, Norby, I would say go for it. If you're just trying to purely get it to get through the HR funnel, go for it. However, I always caution everybody with this is like, make sure you've got the time investment versus the reward out of it. So if it's going to take a long time, I would say don't worry about it. If it's something that's real quick that you feel like you could knock out in a couple weeks, I'd say go hit it. Hey, Ken, what's up, man? Ken coming in with the hot take. All HR people are incompetent fools. If they had the good sense that God gave an acorn, they would not be working in HR. I want to laugh at that, actually, because my dad actually finished out his tenure at a very, very big defense contractor in HR. So he was an aeronautics engineer and worked on the B-2 bomber. I guess that kind of gives away where he worked. But yeah, he was at Northrop Grumman. He worked on the B-2 project. When I was a little kid, I had, no idea. I just knew my dad was infatuated with the B-2. Well, it's because he worked on that project. So he finished out his tenure at Northrop in the HR department. And my dad was no fool. And he was one of the smartest guys I know. A bit on the hands-off side when it came to raising me. He could have beat me a little bit more. I'll be straight with you, because I was a little bit of a wild child. But yeah, for the vast majority of HR folks, though, Ken, yeah, spot on. Let's see. So I did a phone interview and a test gorilla for an IT tech support. Just waiting to see if I can get a schedule for an actual interview. Nice, dude. Yeah, I'd say he's probably the exception that proves the rule. And honestly, I mean, I think that's kind of what they should do, especially if it's a company that's hiring, is, hey, you need to be taking the subject matter experts, right, and bringing them into the HR loop, which I think usually they're very partitioned off, right? There's not a lot of crossover. And I think that's to a lot of companies' detriments. Hackers aren't ideal rule followers, bro. And I'll tell you all this, Honey Badger, and for everybody who doesn't know, Honey Badger is my younger son. He's 3. He is 100% me. And the rules are merely suggestions and opportunities for learning how to get around them. Absolutely. And so I apologize to my wife. And it's funny because my older son is very much like my wife. And my younger son is very much like me. So we joke that my older son is her son and the younger one is my son. Yeah, I was a total little turd when I was younger. But hey, it turned into a lucrative career. Oh, I don't want to go do I guess I'm going to have to do a type check for this. If it's a list, then we're going to have to check if it's a string or a dictionary. And then we're just going to have to modify it. This sucks. This is annoying. All right, let's go code it up. I don't see any other way around this. So what we're going to do is, okay, so we'll do if, I think, is it type of? No. If type of m dot content equals, I think it's string? No, that's, I'm drawing a blank on what the Python function is. Python check if variable is of type. Oh, is instance. That's what I was looking for. That's the one I wanted. Let's do that. Is instance. And what do we do? The first, whatever the variable is. So we'll do m content, and the type would be a string. Then we'll do something there. And then we'll do another one where we say is an instance, and we'll do the exact same thing. That's not correct. So the options we had here, it could be a string, it could be a list. So if it's a list, then we have to do another subcheck. So if it's a list here, then what we'll do is we'll say but then what we're going to do is we're going to check 0 in here. So if 0 is what kind? And that could be a string or a dictionary. So if that's a string, then we're going to do something. Otherwise, do is content 0 a dictionary. This is annoying. But I'm going to put a little note in here. Dirty hack check for AI content structure. That's not really a hack, it's just a dirty check. And then if it's a dictionary, then we're going to do something different. Okay. I had an internal team trying to recruit me, and they tailored the job description to match my resume. HR still screened me out. I had the same thing happen to me, Ken, because it was... I basically I knew a guy, and that's why I'm always recommending, hey, buddy, you got to get out and talk to folks. And I realized that's hard being very geographically dispersed in a lot of places. So what I recommend is get onto Discords, be interacting with people, helping them with their problems. And so if you can help somebody with their problems and they can get an idea of your skill set, then great. They're more willing to vouch for you and help get you through the HR screen. But I had a similar situation happen with me, Ken, and they only had like 3 applicants, so it was real easy for me to get through that particular screening process. This was back in 2014. And so that's funny. They still screened me out. There was a story going on, actually. There was an HR team that was using some kind of AI system, some language model agent, to go through and basically screen applicants. Or I take that back. I don't know if it was an AI system, but they were using some kind of automated system for screening applicants. Given the times we're in, highly suspect it had some kind of a language model backing to it. However, the HR manager went and submitted his resume for them, and it got rejected. So then the HR manager's like, okay, scrap that system, get it out of here. It's obviously junk, because it wouldn't have hired the guy who's running the team. Maybe he was the director, but he was someone who was leading that team. Then, of course, you've got Meta completely using AI for their hiring stuff. Let's see. All right, so let's come up here. So if the content is a string, so we're going to drop this in here. Actually, this would be just fine like this. Just like so, and then we append it, we're good. All right. So now what we're going to do is, if it's a list, then we got another option here where... Actually, I take it back. This does not need to be in here. If this is a string, it's just going to be the direct content. If it is a list, and that one is a string, then we go through with this. And then the last thing is if it's a dictionary. So do the same code again here, where this time, then what we're going to do is we're going to get that text argument out of it. Just like so. And then this part can go away. I think I feel like I need like a else if like a. I do need like a catch else in here. Right here, where we just append the message directly. Just like so. Just put catch all in here. Hey, Sigwatch, what's up, man? So, is someone freshly sending resumes out? That's nightmare fuel. Dude, I know, right? Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. I don't think I can find it on here. Unfortunately, you're gone for 1 freaking week and everything signs you out. Because it was hilarious, the email. Basically, this dude accidentally sent a picture of his junk to the hiring email. No, I'm not finding it in here. But it was hysterical. And then the response was completely like 100% AI response, where it obviously did like an image recognition on it and realized it was his junk. But then it finishes off with, "Oh yeah, I'm down to discuss this." Hey, Bomber, what's up, dude? Let's see. Could it be a dictionary? So for the AI messages here, yeah, the options for the content value. Let's see. Yeah, we pulled out the content. And for content, yeah, those are our options. It could be a string, or it can be a list, and we can have strings or dictionaries inside that list in here. So a list of, I think, strings or a list of dictionaries. I don't believe it's interspersed in there. I love how it says it's the string content of the message, but I was like, it's not exactly. I mean, it is, but it's not necessarily the string content. All right, let's go try and run this real quick. So what should happen here is, so agent messages should all get appended after it finishes this quick loop. We'll get our new output pickle, which we can check. And so this should hopefully go through and return everything in here. So see these state table updates? What we're doing here is we're making changes to the state table. Like I said, it's our book of truth, and then we're sending them back up to the primary agent. So let's go. Actually, hold on. Did this code hot load? It did not. So good thing we saved that. Okay, cool. Looks like it did now. So let's give it another whirl here. Actually, hold on. Yes, I need to add more time to the lab here. There we go. Now we'll run it. Just doing all the debugs. Yeah, I missed everybody while I was out for the week, but I really did need that vacation. It was great. And when we go, we usually travel with another family that are really good friends with ours. Their son and our kids get along great. They have a fantastic time together. And it was just nice to be out in nature, away from the city. As I got closer and closer back to Dallas, where I live, I was just like, I miss all the trees. My dog, Peaches, she just had an absolute blast out there. She was like, oh my god, all the new smells. Okay, so we're got an error back in the step processor. Man, did you fail it again? I'm not pooping, Cypher. I'm literally on stream right now. And look, it's a real chair. The chair is real. I went up to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, Palmer, and so we were up there at the national park. I think it's national park, state park, whatever it is around the Broken Bow Lake, and oh, it was so nice. Ooh, what do we have here? It did. Look at this. So I think it failed it, but look. Special agent node executed, and then it went to the update. Ooh, things are happening. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's look at this real quick. This is what the step revisor looks at. And what it'll do is it'll render a status of, hey, did it validate or did it not in here? So what happens is we tell it, hey, given the exploit task, analyze the output, determine the status. If the status is failed, provide a revised task that corrects for the error or blockage. If the task is validated, leave the revision field blank, which is what it did. If we come down here, it did actually validate it. It said, hey, by the way, the browser agent did actually go hit the site and navigate to it, which is all it's supposed to do. The task was go navigate to this, right? So all we're doing is we're preparing the browser to then take the upload of the PHP web shell. It looks like what we could do, though, is probably clean this up quite a bit, though, because there is so much data in here. I think we should. So what we're doing right now is we're taking those raw messages. And as we saw in the pickle file, those raw messages are really chunky. Let's see what the actual error was there. So the error we got is, we got an index list out of range. For some reason. Let's see. Oh, so for some reason it's trying to get the current step here and it's failing. But the good news is, so we've got some kind of error in the logic where it's happening with the revision, but it did go execute the browser and it did get the data back. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Awesome. This is awesome. This is fantastic. I love this. All right, let's go take a check back real quick. Okay, so for our output, we're just taking those absolute results right here, right? We're just appending whatever the result was. We can probably go through and modify this real fast. In fact, I think we can take this out. I gotta remember, so for the tool and the output, I believe those, I gotta go look it up. I haven't had to deal with the state table in forever. Let's see, so this should be an exploit task. Take it back. This would not be the exploit task. This would be the actual task here. Actually, yes, that's the exploit tool. Yeah, so we don't need to wrap those. So let's go fix that real quick. So this doesn't need to be wrapped. And then same thing here. We can take that out. We could just go append those directly. Because let's go double check what the state table actually looked like as we got to this part right here. So our current task is 5. Good thing is we do see our persistent holder right here, right? Just like that. And then if we come down to task 5, and then let's see, here's our steps. So we got the web shell, we navigate to the target. Let me actually look at this in the raw format. Let's do, oh, that's so chunky. Oh, it's so chunky. Because this is all the data that's been collected for this up to this point. And it keeps track of a lot of this information as it comes through here. did not find it in here? Hold on. Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. I don't know if I can even copy all this. Let's grab it real quick. Oh, no, don't zoom. What are you doing? There we go. Hang on one sec. Let me pop into OPSEC mode real fast. Because I'm opening something I might have, something I don't want to show. Now this should be fine. There we go. Let's see. So there's our persistent agent. Okay, so where is browser agent? So I'll use browser agent to handle this request. So here's our list of our messages in here. Let's see. Well, that's actually in our messages. We don't want the ones in messages. We want the ones a little bit further down, like right here. There we go. Actually, it looks like it did work. So the tools it used is it used special agent caller and then it used browser agent. So we can actually leave those in there. That works fine. And then for our output, we've got our messages in here. So what we could do to condense this, because look at all this additional information we don't need, right? We don't need all of this stuff in here. So for the stuff that we return back for the output, we can actually just strip out whatever the content is. We could just take that part right there. So rather than trying to like prepend it, which it did, we could just grab all that stuff. I think that will work. So let's back out those changes real quick. There we go. So we'll leave that as is. And then what we're going to do is, let's just make a new variable right here. So we'll call this output, and that's just going to be an empty string. There we go. And then what we'll do is we're going to modify this to where rather than appending this onto here, so let's take, we do want to leave this for the messages right here, but when we actually get ready to do the return, this is where we want to go modify everything. This part right here, that's what we don't want. So let's take this and we're going to bring it down right about here. And instead of result, this is going to be our output variable right here. And so for output, what we're going to do is we're going to change this to output right here. And we'll just put that as an append right there. Yep, that should work. And in fact, we can even make this simpler right here. What we do is just make that a little bit of a format string. Right there, just like that. Boop. Put a new line on it. There we go. Now all we have to do is just take all those output messages and drop them in here. We don't even need this. And so all we have to do is just set this to mcontent, just like that. Oh, actually, I do want that a little bit. Because I need to throw a new line in there. Just like that. Nope, not like that. Like that. There we go. Hang on one sec, guys. Hang on one sec, guys. I gotta check on something. I'll be right back. I did not go poop, in fact, Oni. No, I had to go help Sock find something because she needed the chargers for her phone and for her headphones and stuff. And unfortunately, I hadn't unpacked them yet. They were still in my backpack. So I have to keep the wife happy. She puts up with so much of my crap. I have to make sure she's happy. All right. All right, so we do want to append to agent messages, but we gotta just fix this a wee bit. Yep, so this is gonna be the same. This one right here, we're gonna do a little bit of a modification. Modify. This one's just gonna put 0 right there. Oni, I hope you saw the meme I posted and tagged you on the Discord because I thought it was absolutely perfect for you. Wait, that was not correct. What am I doing here? It's this line. There we go. Copy. Pasta. Delete. There we go. So now what should happen is we should have some nice clean output rather than... Because what we're seeing here on this... let me switch this back to the pretty default. Let me blow this up just a wee bit. I gotta drill down into it. And keep in mind, this is like just one box. I'll be really interested to see what happens when Stinger is actually making these decisions itself. Yeah, dude, I'm doing really well. The only downside to the whole vacation was the bed I was sleeping on was a little bit janky, and so my ribs were bothering me, but it wasn't even that bad. Nothing ibuprofen couldn't fix. Good, I'm glad you saw that one, Oni. Dude, it was great. The water, so everything in Broken Bow Lake feeds from a mountain, so the water was so cold when it was in there. Hey, Wrench, what's up, dude? And so it was funny because Honey Badger is swimming in it, just having the time of his life. And then he'd come and crawl up on me like a monkey and he'd like shivering. And then he'd get warm in about 2 minutes and then he'd get back in the water. He's named Honey Badger for a reason. He gives no Fs. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, so that's why the output looked so funky when we sent it. He's a funny kid. Hold on, I gotta refresh this because I think when I resized the interface, I broke it. There we go. All right. So now, let's see, with our changes here. Yep, so this should be our output now. We should be good. What's my plan after this project? I don't know. Actually, so this project was a lead up to some other things. Originally, Wrench, I had planned on having this project further along, but I've hit more roadblocks than I expected. It's part of the learning process. But one of the things that I was really excited about is in here, where we have this special agents thing. By the way, all the code is up on GitHub. I've got a big code push that's being prepared for it right now, because we added this special agent loader in here. So I'll document how you actually build these specialty agents, and then you can just plug them in. You just, let's say this is its own GitHub repo, this browser agent. You git clone it down, it brings it into this repository. I'm sorry, it brings it into this folder, and then boom, whenever you run the program, it automatically imports it and makes it available for the system to use. And this was actually one of the biggest hurdles, because now what I can do is I can come in and I can start adding specialty agents for different areas of specialty. So, which it sounds redundant, but it's true. So for example, I've got a bunch of cloud training on my plate that I've been meaning to do for Azure and AWS. So that will be one of the things that I'll be doing is, as I'm learning that, I'll be coding it into a specialty agent or a series of them. I'm like, okay, cool. Here's a specialty agent that we can use for, attacking Azure or Entra ID or doing reconnaissance on it. And then same thing for AWS. So the whole purpose of this was actually trying to get to this specialty agent part where I'd have a way to learn something new, because I'm fairly familiar with those, but I have a lot more to learn. And then take it and crystallize it into something where it's actually got a code base behind it, because this is like taking the notes and applying them. So I'm so excited about this. Is this going to be able to solve hack the boxes too? Yeah, that's the eventual plan. I don't know if it'll ever solve any of like the really hard challenges. In the future, up here, so if we look at the Stinger graph, right? There's no human in the loop happening here. Eventually, what will happen is if Stinger hits a roadblock, let's say we have an exploitation task and it just keeps failing and it bubbles back up to Stinger. What will happen is Stinger will then say, hey, by the way, human, what do? Give me advice. Tell me things I should try. And so we can have the human then come in and say, yeah, well, here's how we help out with it. Have you tried this? Or, hey, by the way, your code looks like crap. Remake it from scratch. Whatever. So eventually there will also be a human in the loop here. That's probably, from here, the next step is the post-exploitation agent, and then the Stinger agent, and then human in the loop will come in after that. Yeah. The code is super, super rough right now, Wrench. Hey, Ronan, what's up, man? And Bobby, how you doing, brother? I missed everybody while I was on vacation, but I'm glad to see everyone. I thought about maybe trying to do a live stream from my phone, but I had really crap internet out there, which was fine. The whole purpose was to be a little bit disconnected. It was really good, though. Such a good time out there. The kids really liked it. Usually we would take them to, we'd go rent a beach house for the week down in the Gulf, Texas Gulf. And that was okay, but it was a really big production to like get the kids ready and get all the crap down to the beach. Here, it was just like, yeah, you can go play outside. No problem. I can see outside the windows if a bear comes scream. That was about it. But first humans select all the traffic lights. Oh god, that would be troll mode. Hacker not hacking, how is that possible? Sir, did you touch grass? Funny enough, I had to restrain myself because there were a few like IoT gadgets in the cabin we were staying at, which was funny because the internet wasn't great, but it was accessible. And I had to like restrain myself like, ooh, that looks shiny. So it took some effort. Actually, I tell you what was funny is my brother, he started reading the Jack Reacher books before I did. And so he's like, hey, what book are you on now? It's like, I'm on book 6. I started reading them in July. And he's like, how? I was like, I don't know. Especially since, you're the stay-at-home parent. You should be able to read more than me. However, I had to fly up to Seattle for work. That's a 4.5-hour flight. So that was like 8 hours of like straight reading time. And then I was on vacation for a week and I knocked out another book. So I've just been eating them up. I saw sunlight. Are those things real? I used to work the night shift, Wrench. And when I did that, the first time I switched to day shift, I was texting my buddy. I was like, I see this. I think I'm hallucinating because I see this bright glowing ball in the sky. What is that? Oh, too fun. Let's see. What happened to the result here? That shouldn't be a problem. Oh, output is already... I need to change this. Let's just call this pick. And then around output, we'll call that pick. Which we probably won't need this anymore. I think we're going to be good here. There we go. Took it a second to catch up. Human, select all the places you would hide in the event of a robot uprising. That would be a scary captcha to solve. Hey, Hats, what's up, brother? Hotels are the devil. I mean, every time I'm in a hotel, there's a TV with a LAN cable. The temptation. Dude. I used to have a go bag with me, and what I do is I had... Now, for some reason, like a lot of hotels, they cut off the LAN connection in the hotel room, which kind of sucks. I liked when they had that. And what I do is I had an entire set of gear set up to work on a wireless network, and I had a portable wireless router. All I'd have to do is go plug it into the hotel LAN, and then all of my gear would instantly be online. It was perfect. But now they started cutting out all those LAN connections out of an abundance of caution, I suppose. Probably a good idea. And so it's really annoying now. I was like, damn it. I'm gonna be joining the SOC soon. I hope this doesn't happen to me. Dude, I worked very briefly in a SOC, and it was very much not much of a SOC position. And so I don't really claim to have a lot of SOC experience. I did some consulting with it in my one of my previous employers because I was a penetration tester, and they would get some really weird payloads that would come through, and we'd go examine them and break them down. But that was about the extent of it. All right, I think I've got this set now. Let's go try running this again. Let me make sure the box is still online. Yeah, we'll be good for the rest of the stream. Nice. Nice. All right. Run, matey. All right, so I feel like the SLM domain-specific agents that are purpose-built for certain jobs and tasks is definitely the future. 100% agree. So hyper-efficient for certain subject matter and calling back to language models as an orchestrator or fall back to ground on something. That's what I'm thinking too, as everything that I've seen from building these and from interacting with them is that having those smaller individual units is really what's going to be the way forward. And in fact, I don't think the way forward a lot of times is going to be the large language models, the stuff that's like greater than 10 billion parameters. I think a lot of it's going to be very specialty built, smaller language models that are under that 10 billion mark. Stuff that you could run, on consumer devices, stuff that you could even like run on your phone, right? And then even then it's got to be much lower than 10 billion parameters because you're not going to go burn 10 gigs of memory on a phone to run a language model, right? But usually that was the cutoff I saw one researcher suggest, and that is small language models are 10 billion and below. Large language models are above 10 billion. I was like, okay, that's a pretty good delineation for me. Did I see the new Chinese AI C2 villager? I heard something about it, Ronan. Because like I said, I wasn't completely disconnected this week, but that kind of dropped here. I think... Let me see if I bookmarked that. I think I bookmarked it to go over on the news stream. Let me see if this is the correct one. Was that the Cyberspike Villager one, Ronan? Because I think it was this one here. Malware Unicorn had put out a tweet on it, so I bookmarked it to go take a look at later. And yeah, Villager, here it is. Yeah, so I was planning on covering it on the news stream on Wednesday night. By the way, guys, everybody, Tuesday nights are not news night anymore. I've got to move it because I've got another obligation I have to do on Tuesdays. Everyone seemed to really like it whenever we switched to Wednesday. So coming up this Wednesday on the 17th, that's when we're going to start officially. News nights will be a Wednesday night. Yeah, I'll drop this link over in the chat for everybody if y'all want to take a look at it. And y'all can give me your opinions of it on the when we get covered on the news stream. All right, so we're getting a new error. We're getting back out of the browser agent, which is good. But now for some reason we're getting this index out of range error right here. So where is this originating from? Let's go see. Does that mean I won't ever see you at DHA? I know, man. Now there might be some nights where I'm like, hey guys, I'm going to go out to DHA, so we'll cancel the news stream. Or hey, maybe we'll do the news stream from DHA one night if I could get a portable streaming setup. I could always probably talk to Wirefall about that, and maybe he could hook me up. Hey, Wrench, that's fine, man. Dude, I like new folks. By the way, when I put Q&A in the stream title, I 100% mean that. You've got questions, I've got answers. If I don't know the answer, I will let you know. And it probably, hopefully, suggests a place where you might be able to go find out. I've been doing this for a while. I've been in IT professionally for 15 years now, getting closer to 16 years at this point. But I've been hacking on computers since the second grade, since DOS 3.1. I mean, just messing around with them, tinker with them. My first actual computer hack, I pulled off in the second grade, where I found a bug in this quiz taking software where I could get a perfect score no matter how I answered. It was pretty funny. Can I ask how to hack NASA when I get a real answer and no jokes? Well, I will preface this. The chat rules are: rule number 1, don't hack the stream. Rule number 2 is everybody in the chat is a Fed. And then rule number 3 is don't ask about illegal things. See rule number 2. Everyone in chat's a Fed. See that guy chatting right now? Hats, total Fed. Let's see here. All right, so why is this saying that our... So in the exploit agent, line 281, for some reason... Oh, I know why. So what's happening here is this is failing after... I believe we get this right. Oh, right. So Hats is over on the Twitch side. But, yeah. See this guy right here? Total Fed. Yeah, you know what, Oni, maybe I'll message Wirefall, because I've known him for a long time. He's a great dude. And I'll say, like, hey, could we set up a side room where we're doing, like, you know, hackers talk about the news or something? And so maybe we can have, like, a group chat. Because there's some mega brains that attend DHA. I don't know if they'd necessarily want to be on camera. Let's see. So I get what's happening here. So let's go hop over to line 281. At least I think I know what's happening. Over on the exploitation agent. So if we come back over here, exploit agent, let's shrink you down. Line 281. Let's see. Oh, why is it doing that? Fed? Where? I wish. Free tickets to Black Hat and DEF CON. Yeah, right. For the short time I worked in government, they wouldn't have paid for me to go to Black Hat or DEF CON. Granted, it was a very small government, though. It was a local municipality here in Texas. But it was a really nice stepping stone. And plus, I got to work with one of the a guy that I knew really well. He is awesome. Let's see. So it's saying that 281 right here. So why is it saying we're getting an index out of range here? For some reason, it's saying it on the current step. Did the current step get incremented by accident? Well, good thing is we can actually come through and we can check this here. So the current step, let's look at it where we were for the... Actually, you know what we can do? Let's come back over here. We can actually dig through all of this stuff. So let's collapse these down. Or, actually, no, we need the task in here. We want to jump down to task 5, right here. Oh, wait, current step. That's current task is 5. Where is our step counter here? Here's our current step right here, number 2. So number 1 was validated, which was create the web shell. Number 2 was navigate to the directory. What's the output look like? Still looks about the same. Oh, well. Let's see. Current step is number 2, which should be right here. Did we not make a tool call? Is that what the problem is here? Oh, here we go. So this is where the issue came in. So the reason why, so let's look at line 281. What's happening here is this is basically a big, long, ugly string to drill down where we were in the state table, right? And what we're doing is we're telling it to append from the response whatever the tool call was. However, if we look at the trace, there's no tool call here. It's not actually calling a tool. So that's where it's messing up on us. Very small government. My mind jumped to Mossad. God, no. No. Not only am I the wrong nationality, but also those guys, you know, Mossad, CIA, MI5, those guys are, they're way beyond whatever technical skill set I'm going to have. They're insane. I'm in the Federal Reserve. They can call me up anytime. In the meantime, I just print money. Printing money. All right, so why did it actually use the file upload form to upload the PHP web shell? Okay, so we should have... So let's take a look at that real quick. So here we tell it, so this is our system prompt, right? We give it all the information. We can also tell it the special agent caller tool can be used to pass execution to one of the following agents. So browser agent provides access to a fully functional web browser handling any task that needs to be completed via a browser. So maybe we need to expand this explanation here a bit, because it looks like it's not registering that, hey, we could use the browser to upload this guy here. I don't know about the skill set because some of them use Kaspersky. That's... Speaking of Kaspersky, did you guys see a lot of the fallout from Huntress? I think Tiberius is working on a video for it now. I don't think it's out yet. But somebody had installed, who I think was a ransomware actor. Like I said, I only caught partial glimpses of the news this week. And they had installed Huntress's EDR, whatever it's called, onto their system, and all of a sudden they had like all these samples of this guy's ransomware stuff. And so I think Tiberius is working on the video for it right now. Let me see. Click. Let me see if he's put it out yet. Let's see. Actually, he did, yeah. So if you guys go check out, I'll drop a link to it here. But it looks like Tiberius already dropped his Huntress video right here. And so here, I'll grab a link for it for y'all. I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but I know he was talking with John Hammond about this and giving a full breakdown of it. So go check out Tiberius's video on it. In fact, I'm going to thumb it right now. Boop. Save to watch later. There we go. Threat actors deployed the Huntress agent and owned themselves in the process. Yeah, that's what it sounded like from just the little snippets of everything I was catching. Let's see. Yeah, I have some stuff to take care of after the stream tonight, so maybe I'll have it running in the background so I can catch a look at it. Let's see. Okay, so the problem we're having here is we did not have a tool call where we expected a tool call. So this would have been an example where, let's go back over here. So if we look at the graph here, the step processor basically said, I don't know what to do. So what we would probably do in this case, in the future, is take this code and wrap it into something that allows it to invoke a human response. Throw the human in the loop. I have 65 watch later videos. Ronan, I feel you, bro, because on my YouTube account, I have, I think, 400. Because after I watch them, I just never delete them. And I don't feel like taking the time to go click, 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 and delete them all. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's really the watch never list. That's what I also do, Oni. So it's like a very inefficient bookmarking system where I always have a tab open for it. All right, so let's see here. Let me think about how to approach this. Let's actually go pop back over to, let's look at the agent structure real quick here. So over here, we have the browser's init system, right? It doesn't really do anything. It's just there for packaging purposes. And then on the browser is actually where all the meat and potatoes kind of lives, right? Where it's actually coming through, and it's actually, I take that back. It's in the agents here. Agents is where everything is kind of prepared and set up. So see, like we have the graph. This is going to be the actual LangGraph graph that gets pushed back up to the parent process, or the parent graph. And then we have our agent mappings that tells it, hey, by the way, this agent is useful for recon and enumeration, or just useful for exploitation, whatever. And then we also have the description. So let's beef up the description a bit. So right now we say browser agent. Let's just take that out. We'll say provides access to a fully functional web browser. Let's see. And then what tasks do we actually have for that? Let me look at something real quick. I believe we can see this here. We come back down to here. Wait, that's the special agent node. Where's the special agent node? Oh, here it is, yeah. There we go. So now we've got a list of like kind of what it did. Boop. So let me think about this. So what I want it to do is, let's see. Here's all the different things that we can do for this. Close, resize, console messages, handle dialogue, evaluate, file upload, install. What does install do? Oh, install the... Okay. We probably should go through and filter this list, but it's fine. Press a key, type navigate, go back, mouse click. Let's see. Let's see. Handling tasks such as browsing, navigating, uploading, or downloading files. And then what else are we saying here? What else do we have in here? Hover, select tab, wait for it. Actually, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. There you go. So we'll try to make it a little bit more explicit. Fully functional web browser. Handling tasks such as browsing, navigating, uploading, or downloading files. Okay, yeah, we can leave it like that. Any task a user might... never mind. We'll just leave it at that. Let's see if we can kind of coax it along a little bit. Let's run it again. Submit. I've got hundreds of unwatched videos. It's a real problem. I feel you, Bobby. I'm right there with you. I'm about to just throw them all into Notebook LM and call it a day at this point. Yeah, just have it go summarize all the videos for you. So Notebook LM is another one. One of the guys at my company, he's real big on Notebook LM, and he keeps trying to get me to test it out. I don't have the time to test every single tool. I wish I did. I'm in a perpetual hell of opening tons of tabs to watch and then running out of RAM on dev tools and getting pissed and closing them all. Just to have them back in 2 days. I know, right? Oh, we hit a new error for our special agent. Okay. Yeah, everybody's like, what would you do with all this RAM? Chrome tabs. Chrome tabs for days. Freaking Chrome, man. Such a memory hog. Let's see. So where did we get this? Where did this come from? Line 75 in the agents Python. Let's go look at that. Now, why did it not like it this time, but it worked perfectly fine last time? Did I accidentally double? Hold on. Did I accidentally double this here? Output, output? I think I did. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me go back a minute. Somehow I think something got jacked up in here. I don't think that was supposed to be there. That's weird. I wonder how I duplicated that. So we go to tasks, current tasks, output. Oh, I hope I don't have to go dig through the state table structure again because it gets deep fast. I'm gonna have to go document it so I can actually say I can muddle through it right now because I wrote it, right? But anybody trying to come in and understand it, it's going to be an absolute slogfest. So maybe after I finish the exploitation agent, we'll do a little documentation on like what the state table is actually doing. Let's see. All right, I think it updated. Let me go try this again. That was weird though. Chrome tabs I don't check for weeks and then just move them to the bookmarks and never touch them again. I usually just like get fed up with them, Ronan, and they just pile up. And then I just like, I haven't looked at this in 6 weeks. Control W for days. And just kill them. All right, hopefully we don't get an error on the special agent node again. Hey, it went to the reviser. It's probably going to jack up here on the exploit step processor. Maybe, we'll see. No, it's going to fail. Because it's failing to make the tool call. It doesn't know what to do with it. There's a great plugin for Chrome and Firefox that collapses all your tabs into one reference page with the lines. Ooh. You know, Ken, I noticed that they're doing that with the mobile browsers, right? So, I've noticed that like if I have a buttload of Chrome tabs open on my phone, which I invariably do because I'm constantly checking news articles, and there eventually it will collapse them down to like, hey, these are ones you haven't used in a week or something like that, and it will drop them in there. All right. So why are you refusing to use the browser for the uploads? What is your deal? Okay, so use the file upload form to upload the PHP web shell. All right, so what's the language model saying here? It says I need to upload the web shell file form, but there's not enough information provided to complete this task effectively. Oh, look at this. We're missing the context here for some reason. Why is the context missing? I hope it's not getting clobbered up here. Let's see. So this is on the exploit step processor. Let's go up to a previous one. Oh, so there is no context for this one. So the idea here with the structure of these is the system prompt is the overall instructions, and then the human prompt down here essentially becomes the fill in the variables. And we use this kind of pseudo XML as a way to anchor the attention of the language model to where we want it. So for some reason here, I mean, this is fine. We don't need any context for this. But let's bring this down. Let's go look at the exploitation agent real fast. let's see. Where did it say the error was? That'll help me narrow it down real fast. Line 281. Right about Chmear. Oh, okay. So yeah, we're just leaving the context blank in there, so we're just burning tokens for no reason. So what we want for context is come to think of it, probably what we need to do here for the context is go reconstruct what was the output for the various tool calls as they happened beforehand. So if we come look at, let's come down to the very bottom. And if we look at what was going on in the state table, and then let's come down to number 5. So this is an exploit agent, right? An exploit task. So the output actually holds all the various steps that are going to be happening here. So output 0 is all the exploit steps. Hold on. So for anybody who's not kind of idea of what's going on here. So what I've tried to code into this is the idea of what I call speculative tasking. And hold on, let's go back over to the recon agent here. This will make it, I think, a little bit clearer here. Bring this over. There we go. So for example, let's look at how the recon agent does this. It's very similar to a React agent, which is a reasoning action agent. It comes through, the recon agent says, okay, what am I supposed to do? All right, I think I have this tool available to do that. We invoke the tool, we get the output, we format the output, and then we go update that output over into a host that's also in the state table. So we're gathering information and we're assigning it to a host in the state table. The validator comes in and says, okay, cool. Did we complete the task sufficiently? Yes or no? And then it gets passed back up. If it didn't, then we're going to run through this loop again, maybe try a different tool. What should happen here, though, is this is very straightforward. If the task is like, hey, go run an nmap scan, go run GoBuster, do an SMB sweep, whatever. That's a fairly straightforward task that we wanted to let run. Exploitation is a lot more tricky. And when you're exploiting something, a lot of times it's much trial and error. Let me bring this over here. And I'll bring this over here too. And we'll just focus on this part right here. So here's our exploitation agent and the revisor. There we go. Now you can kind of see everything. So what happens is after the exploitation agent kind of says, all right, here's all the data. Well, how do I think I'm going to exploit this? In this case, we've already told it you're going to upload a PHP web shell. The planner comes through and says, okay, what steps do we need to perform in a simple exploitation to exploit uploading a PHP web shell? It spits those out, and then it creates a series of steps from that. And then the steps for that exploit go through. Eventually, the revisor will say, we are at an impasse. This exploit method is not working. It can pass back up to the exploitation agent and say, we need another idea. What's another potential exploit we've got? And then it re-enters this kind of speculative tasking loop that happens. So what I'm thinking here is what we should do for the context is as this kind of comes through, right? We have all the outputs for these steps. So probably what we should be doing is grabbing all of those as they come through. Right here. So here's our tool content. And probably what we need to do is go clean this up a bit so we just have the content of all of these as they come through. Right now what we're doing is we're just taking the output of the tool call and dropping it in there. We could just grab the content of it and save ourselves some tokens as it's coming through. Dude, so I had to do, I see y'all talking about Java there with when we got onto the tangent about memory. I had to do Java as like probably like the 17th introductory programming course I had to take while I was at university. I graduated from TCU, and it was actually really funny because I've done a lot of coding. I've done a lot of tinkering with it. Let's say scripting, really. But I was really familiar with code and how it works and whatnot. After the first exam, And it was all in Java too, so like there was some stuff I wasn't familiar with on the syntax. The professor's like, everybody in the class did so horribly. I'm going to send out a calendar invite, and y'all are gonna book up 30 minutes for me to go spend with each student. I get to my time slot. He looks in. He's like, "Have you considered transferring to computer science?" I was like, "Dude, I'm one semester away from finishing my math degree. I'm gonna be good there." Hey, Kinslayer, what's up, man? Yeah, Java gives me the willies. Let's see here. Yeah, I think there's definitely some efficiencies that we can do in here. But I think actually coming through and grabbing... Oh, I think I'm... Am I doing this wrong? No, this looks correct. I think I do. Actually, I just noticed something. This should not be structured like this in... Yeah, the output coming back is still the raw messages. See that? Yep, I see where we're going with this. Real computer science is a branch of math. Pretty much, man. It's applied math. And which is the same thing with physics. And so originally I was a math and a physics major. But then my wife and I got engaged. My girlfriend at the time, obviously. And then I decided I'm just going to drop the physics portion because I can graduate a year and a half faster. And yeah, so in case you couldn't tell, I'm a big old nerd. Big old nerd. All right, I think I need to go double check something over the browser again real fast. Because the output... Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, no, that's our agent messages. That is what we want. Yeah. So we're setting up the output here. This is not correct. I think we did need that output. Hold on one second. So we return the task table. So what we're doing is we're modifying our... So when we get a copy of the state table, we get the entire thing, right? And then whatever we... And it only makes a change to it if we return that, right? So we return something with a matching key. So I'm modifying the local copy of the state table and I'm skipping it back out here. However, if we go to current task output, that's going to be number 5, and that's going to be the output for it. That is... Yep, that was incorrect. See that? So there's all the information that I was expecting to be right about Shamir. Right here. These guys. So that is definitely targeting the wrong slice of the state table. So let's go figure out where that was. Let's see. Are these not being used? I guess not. Wait, no, result is being used, isn't it? I'll clean it up later. There's a lot of code enhancements that have to be done eventually. But... Not even applied math. I think computers kind of exist platonically in mathematics, and they're a thing that can be studied as such. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh. Pretty much. A lot of mathematics is just... or a lot of computing is just applied mathematics with restrictions. I forget what the actual term was, if it's a... Because basically you're just operating in a binary system, right? Let's see here. Oh, God. So what is the slice I actually need to target for this? This is going to be annoying. All right. So we need to go to output. We need to get what the current step is from this. So it needs to be the output 0, and then whatever the current step is, which that's the integer there. Did I get out the current step? Let me see. I must have in here. Do exploit stuff. I'm gonna put that in there. Let's see, because the output for here, it needs something different. Here we go. This is actually what we needed. This part right here. Yep, this is the part that needs to come down. So I'm going to take this. Yes. I'm going to just comment it out for now. But this is where that actually, those parts are coming in. So the result is we invoke the actual agent graph that's happening, and then we're returning it. So the problem here is this should have been like this, except instead of output, it should have just been our output variable, like that. Oh, it sure is, isn't it? Yep, I just realized our step task. Damn it. Damn it all. Yep, so the problem here is I forgot that I extracted that step index here. Rip. All right. I've got to shuffle some code around. That's going to be annoying. But it's not that bad. We're going to have some fun with it. Why? Because the other option is to cry. I refuse to cry. Hey, Oreo. Dude, it's actually working. So it's passing execution here from the special agent node. It's invoking the browser agent, and then it's passing it back. So it's looking pretty good so far. It's looking sweet. Only thing I wish is, given the implementation that I chose to do for this, it doesn't show up in here like this is a routable path to those special agents. Not necessarily such a big deal. I would like it if it showed up in the graph, but it's not a problem. All right, so we've got an option in here where we can do this. And that is we could scope these out a bit and basically invoke them up here. Session name, that should be a string. Let me type these out real quick. So that's a string. Agent messages, that's going to be a list. And then our result here, this is going to be... What do we get back from that? I'm trying to remember. Oh, I take that back. That is not what this is supposed to be. This is a persistent browser agent. This is, yeah. That's what that's supposed to be. Incorrect. You're supposed to be that type. There we go. I really like, I don't know when this got added to Python where you could do like these typings to it, but I really do like it. Ken, the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics and physics was one of my favorite things to discuss with a professor I had who was an awesome dude. And he's one of the reasons why I got into TCU. He wrote my letter of recommendation. And he and I would just sit and chat about physics and stuff. He's such an awesome guy. I still love him to this day. I need to call him and see how he's doing. Let's see. What's our result type going to be? Let me see this. That returns a coroutine. It does return a coroutine. I think it's going to return a list, though. That, no, stop. List. There we go. So the problem is so here's where we're actually appending all those results, but all the formatting for it is happening down here. That is annoying. So I want to kind of bring that back up. Unfortunately, let me leave myself a note so I remember what I'm doing. So that way we can just dive right into it. Need output logic, move from... Actually, put this as a to-do. From line 59. Here. Yep. All right. Cool. So what we'll do is tomorrow night is we'll work on like kind of refactoring this, moving it up, or either that or taking some of these tasks out and like moving them up. So basically have these variables be scoped a little bit higher so they're accessible to other parts of the code in here. And I think that might be the simplest solution to this. But unfortunately, that is where we are out of time for tonight. I know, do not cry, young flyline. It's okay. We'll be back tomorrow night. Let's see if anybody's over on InfoSec streams. Nope. And in fact, we're in stealth mode. There is nobody on InfoSec streams. So if you haven't seen the site, by the way, I'm going to drop a link for it in here. If you like all sorts of various security and hacking content, go check out this site because, especially during the day, this time of night, usually we're the only ones online. It's fine. It's fine. I don't know why every other hacking streamer does it during the middle of the day. It's like, what kind of daywalker are you? But that's usually the way it works. But there's always lots of folks to find on there. Let's see here. Who might we be able to go raid out to? IP phishing activated. I know, right? Oni, if you want to start up streaming again, dude, let me know. I'll come help you with your setup, man. Especially since you're here, you know, in town with me. Let's see. Who do we have this good? By the way, over on the Twitch side, if you have any suggestions for who to raid out to, shout them out. Let's see, Rogji's on. Maybe we'll go right over to Rogji. Got a new capture card? Oh, nice. Actually, I've been considering doing that. If I could ever go build a another computer, I was considering doing a capture card on that and then moving OBS off of this computer. Let's see here. Anybody doing anything fun? Nobody's super provocative. Let's see, who's over in Science and Tech? I do love my Science and Tech course. You know, astronomy show's on. Maybe we'll go right over to him. I do like some nighttime spaciness. Retro's also on doing some gaming, Game Boy Color hacking, modding it. "4 a.m. laundry." What? Who is this? Hold on. Doing a Japanese IRL stream? Hmm. You know what, Ken? We might just go right over to him because I don't know if we've got anybody else really doing much tonight. No, I'll tell you what. I like him, but I know we've got other folks that we can do stuff with. Let's see. Actually, yeah, we'll go right over to astronomy show. It's always fun to go. I love the nighttime astronomy guys. They keep you happy. All right, guys. Unfortunately, that's where we've got to end it for tonight. Thank y'all for coming to hang out. It was a lot of fun. I'm so happy to be back from vacation, even though it was desperately needed, and it was a fantastic time. I missed y'all. It was fun hanging out and working on all this stuff and getting to chat with everybody. That's usually one of the big highlights of my week. So I will catch up with y'all tomorrow night. We back at the same bat time, same bat channel. Can't wait for the next meme. I'll hook you up, man. I spam the Discord with them. Everyone, you guys have a fantastic night. Tomorrow night, we'll work on refactoring this code and then see if we can coax the exploitation agent along to actually get us our web shell. And then we can work on post-exploitation. All the fun stuff. Everyone, I hope y'all have a fantastic night. I hope we have an absolutely phenomenal Sunday tomorrow. Spend it with time with some friends and family. Get prepared for next week so we can continue to initiate crushing it mode on Monday. And I think that's everything I've got for you guys. Yep. Absolutely, Oni. All right. Oh, wait, you know what? I forgot. Hold on. One last very important announcement I want everybody to keep in mind, which is I love you. Peace.